A few weeks ago, a conversation about an 18-year-old's part-time job, it completely changed the way I think about employee benefits. Now, this young man, he works at a retail store, and he discovered recently that his employer provides a retirement account. Not only that, they're willing to put money into that account for him. Free money. Now, the surprising part isn't the benefit. The surprising part is that nobody around him knew the benefit even existed. And it made me wonder how many people are walking away from money simply because they don't understand the paperwork that comes along with a new job. Now, this time of year, thousands of high school graduates, college graduates, interns, and summer employees, they're all starting new jobs. They're getting onboarding emails and benefit packets and paperwork they've never seen before. So, whether you're starting your first job or maybe you're helping a child navigate their first job, or maybe you've just simply overlooked something in your own benefits package that you didn't realize, well, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Amy Schaefer, and welcome to Overwhelmed to Order. This video is part of a series that I'm calling What I Wish I Knew When I Was 22. I've spent more than 2 decades working in corporate America, navigating benefit packets, onboarding employees, and just learning through experience. And one thing that I've learned is that a lot of times the most important decisions that we have to make aren't the big dramatic ones. They're the small ones that are hidden in benefit packets. They're in onboarding forms and paperwork that a lot of times most of us don't read. Because the truth is, life doesn't come with an instruction manual. Most of us aren't taught about retirement plans at work. We're not taught to evaluate employee benefits. And we're not even taught what questions to ask when we're handed a stack of paperwork on the first day at a new job. So what do? Well, a lot of us, we just skim through the forms, we check a few boxes, and we move on. And unfortunately, that can mean missing some important information. And the reason I'm talking about this now is because most employers, they only allow you to make benefit changes during open enrollment. So if you ignore this paperwork now, you may not get another chance to make these changes for months. And here's the important part. The decision to ignore that paperwork is still a decision. Most people don't miss opportunities because they carefully evaluated them and said no. They miss them because they didn't even realize the opportunity was there in the first place. The benefit that I want to talk with you about today is something called 401ks and 403bs. In some workplaces, that's what it's going to be called. Now, don't worry about the terminology. The important thing is that these are plans that are offered by your employer for retirement. Here's the simple version. You choose to have a small percentage of your paycheck automatically deposited into a retirement account. That money is invested and has the opportunity to grow over time. But here's the part a lot of people miss. Some employers will actually contribute money to that account too. This is what's called a company match. And this is where a lot of times people may unintentionally leave money on the table. So let's say your employer offers a company match of 6% of your salary. If you contribute 6%, they contribute 6%. If you contribute 4%, they may only contribute 4%. In other words, if you're not contributing enough to take advantage of the full match, you're potentially missing out on part of the benefit that your employer is offering. And that's why many people refer to the company match as free money. For example, you contribute $50. Your employer contributes $50. Total invested, $100. Now, every employer is different, and some have a dollar for dollar match, some have more complicated formulas, and some don't match at all. And that's why it's important to understand what your employer's specific benefits are. And that's what actually brings me back to the story that I mentioned earlier. I was talking with a mom who has college-aged children who are working part-time jobs. And a relative working for the same employer discovered that he had a retirement plan and a company match. He was only 18 years old. And that surprised me, not because he had the benefit, but because so many people assume that retirement benefits are for older workers or people in full time careers. I even took that for granted until I heard the story. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I don't make that kind of money. I'm only working part time. This isn't my forever job. I'm young. I'll worry about retirement later. And honestly, if you're just getting started, those concerns are real. As a parent of adult children, I hear those concerns too. In fact, one of the biggest misconceptions that you can have is that you need a lot of money to get started, but you don't. And we'll talk about that in a future video. We'll also talk about budgeting and cash flow and lots of other things. But here's the thing, before you decide whether contributing makes sense for your situation, you need to know what's available to you because you can't evaluate an opportunity that you don't know exists. And that's exactly why so many people leave money on the table. And retirement plans aren't the only example. Depending on where you work, you may have access to health savings accounts or employee stock purchase plans or tuition assistance or lots of other benefits. They may be available to you as well. The point isn't to understand everything today. The point is to understand what's available to you before you can decide what's valuable to you. Most people don't intentionally turn down a company match. They just simply assume they'll take care of it later. But later, it has a way of turning into years. Imagine this: two employees working side by side at the same company. They earn the same paycheck, they work the same hours. One takes a few moments to evaluate their benefits and enrolls. The other ignores the paperwork. A year later, one of them has hundreds or even thousands of additional dollars invested for the future, not because they're smarter, not because they earn more, simply because they knew which questions to ask. Now, every employer has different eligibility requirements, and not every part time job offers retirement benefits. But the lesson is still the same. Don't assume, ask, read the information, and take a few minutes to understand what's being offered. Now, one other term that you might hear is something called vesting. Vesting simply refers to the money contributed by your employer and when that money officially becomes yours. So you contribute your money, but that's always your money. But when the employer contributes, that may require you to work for the employer for a certain period of time until you're fully entitled to their contributions. Again, every company is different. The important thing is just simply knowing that the rules exist and taking a few minutes to understand them. What really struck me about this whole conversation is just how easy it is for important information to get lost. Now, when I was younger, everything arrived in the mail. Today, benefit information is usually buried in emails or online portals or electronic onboarding systems. If you're a young adult, it's easy to overlook. And if you're a parent, you may never even see it. After hearing this story, I actually had conversations with my own children, not because I wanted to tell them what to do. I just wanted to make sure they knew what questions to ask, because whether you're 18 or 22 or 42, you can't take advantage of a benefit if you don't know it exists. And here's what I don't want you to hear from this channel. I don't want you to think that you need to become a retirement expert. You don't need to become an expert in tax law. You don't need to understand investing entirely right now. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to ask the questions that could uncover whether you have a benefit that you didn't know you had. Because that's really what this channel is all about. Not knowing everything, but just knowing which questions to ask when life hands you something complicated, whether that's money or career decisions or healthcare or just the responsibilities that come with adult life. So If you take nothing else from this video, take this. Before you throw away that benefits packet, or before you click through that paperwork, ask one simple question. Does my employer offer a retirement plan? And do they match contributions? That's it. You may discover there's money available to you that you've been missing without even realizing it. And the best part is, the effort is really pretty small. 5 minutes asking questions today could result in thousands of additional dollars for you over time. And parents, if you have a high school or college age child who's starting a new job or internship or even starting their first career position this year, this is a conversation worth having. Sometimes the most valuable opportunities aren't hidden because they're secret. They're hidden because we were never taught what questions to ask. And that's exactly what Overwhelmed to Order is all about. So thank you for spending a few minutes with me today. If this video was helpful, please subscribe and share it with someone who is starting a new job or who's going to college or beginning a new career or just entering the workforce. Next time, we'll tackle one of the most confusing decisions in a benefits package: Roth versus traditional retirement accounts. Until then, remember, you don't have to have everything understood at once. You just need to take one step, ask one question, and keep moving from overwhelm to order. I'll see you in the next video.